Welcome back to the Strength and Speed podcast. I'm your host, Strength and Speed owner Evan Preparis. We have a guest on the line. Before we get to her, though, and she's got some pretty crazy, interesting stories, we'll do a quick word from our sponsor. So this episode is brought to you by Luke Labonte. Luke Labonte is the dietitian and nutritionist for the Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team. So if you're looking to lean down, just lose some weight or gain more muscle, or you're more focused on the competitive aspect of the sport, you can hit him up on Luke Labonte on his Facebook page. He's got a Facebook, like an official Facebook page that you can check him out there, and you can ask him about his rates and stuff like that. He's done some great work for the Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team. You can also find links to his website on the CTG Pro Team website and on the CTG Pro Team Facebook page. So head over there, tell Luke that we sent you over, and I'll hook you up with a great deal. All right, joining me for the podcast, we have Brandy Nelson Goddard. And she has a pretty interesting background. So was a collegiate cheerleader at Trinity Valley, which is known for winning nationals in cheerleading for over 25 years. She had a full scholarship from that. She's also the first cheerleading stunt collegiate champion that was featured on ESPN. Some of her background in that led to her doing things like, well, she got pregnant, and then when she was interested to get back into fitness, she started doing sprint triathlons and half marathons. She did her first obstacle race in a thing called the Tri Fitness Challenge, which is what we're going to be focusing on for a lot of this episode. So it's a fitness competition / physique competition / obstacle course race. So 3 parts for a cumulative score to determine the winner. Overcome a couple of pretty serious ACL injuries. And then she's been on a host of TV shows, so including American Ninja Warrior twice. She's been on Guinness Book of World Records Gone Wild, America's Got Talent, and a game show called Let's Ask America. Brandy, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much.
Now, I originally met you at, I believe it was Conquer the Gauntlet, Little Rock.
Oh, yes. I was very intrigued with you.
And you were asking me like a dozen questions. And I know. I was like, oh, this girl's really good at buttering me up. So it worked because now you're on the podcast.
Like yes, I just never think anything like it. And I like to know what is making a person like you. So, yes, I did ask a lot of questions.
And funny story. So we're at the CTG Pro Team Takeover weekend, and a girl named Heather was there who was doing a thing called the Tri Fitness Challenge. And I was like, that's so interesting. Like, tell me more about it. And then I was like, well, you should come on my podcast. And she's like, well, let me tell you about my friend Brandy, who's my coach, and she's better than me. She's like, you should bring her on instead. And I was like, oh, I know who that is. Yeah. So that was back in like February that was December. So I'm finally getting around to asking you and making this happen.
Yeah. Love to tell you about it. It's probably about 10 years ago. I found it like right after, I would say, early 30s. And I was really amazed because it is 2 different obstacle courses, which one's a full sprint of a mix of hurdles that you jump over, 10-foot cargo net, a 15-foot cargo net. You go over a 10-foot wall. Then you have speed part, like you're jumping over stuff, going under it. And you want to get it around a minute or less. So it's full on. There's no break. There's actually also a balance beam. You have certain marks you have to touch or you get deductions. And so it's very interesting output. And then you have another obstacle course. I ran it about a minute and 40 seconds, but they add more. It's speed again, but more strength moves, flipping a tire, a kettlebell, really quick jumps, again, hurdles, different set of walls. So you're doing that as well. And then you have the fitness skills. And that was kind of my specialty. I won that most of the years. Somehow I just started, it's crazy to say, after I was pregnant, I learned how to box jump really fast. And it's a 20-inch box, and you have to do 50 box jumps in a minute. Not in a minute. As fast as you can, 50 box jumps. And I broke the record of 34 seconds. And then you do a shuttle run. It's about 20 feet. and you run and grab a beanbag, sprint back with the opposite hand, and throw it in a square. So if it goes out of the square, you get deductions. And then it's different because you have to weigh in and you have to bench press 60% of your weight. So you have to watch your weight, but keep your calories up to be able to do all the other athletic events. So it's a very tricky way of going into a competition. So I ended up doing about 65 pounds, and I always got 50 reps. It's really a rhythm, an endurance rhythm. So those three things were the fitness skills. And I would, most of my years, I would win that event. And then you have a fitness routine, which I always did that myself since I cheered in college. I still tumble and do all of that kind of thing. So I either would get top 3 or win the fitness routine. And then physique round, I did okay. I'm not real ladylike, so that kind of probably went against me. But, it's just to let the ladies be able to, feel like a woman, but show their athleticism. It's not bodybuilding. They don't want over-muscled bodies on stage. But it does show how hard we've worked, in a physique round. So it's 2 days of events. And one of the years I was the fastest off course I've ever had. The time was, but I jumped off the 15-foot cargo net, landed straight-legged, and tore my first ACL. And I didn't know what happened. So I jumped down 3 feet with a broken ACL, turned the corner, and could not get over the hurdle. And it was a weird sensation because my mind was on fire still, but my body shut down. So I just felt so disturbed to be stopped. I've never been stopped in my life. So I went through a huge awakening on how to slow down. I learned how to rehab because my mind was already set to go back next year. It takes a year for an ACL. So I went back and I placed 5th overall, tumbled, sprinted, all of that. 3 months later, I did another competition, probably did it too fast. Then I went over a hurdle with the next leg, landed straight-legged, and I looked at it and I heard it pop. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I'm telling you, I looked at my knee and I decided right then, don't go in a funk. It's gonna heal. You know what it takes. And now you have 2 bionic knees. And so I went to the strength coach for the Dallas Cowboys and asked him, what type of tendon, is the best? He was like, you've got to get patella tendon. You're still going to go. So I made sure they locked that in place. My surgeon worked with the University of Arkansas Razorbacks. So I knew that he knew what he was doing. And I just started having more of a different mindset. Like, I need to work the back of my leg, my deceleration muscles. And I need to, create different flexibility and to get different ways to get explosive. So instead of like, oh, I can't do this anymore, I'm scared. And everyone kept saying, you're too old for this. I was like 38. You're too old. You're too old. You are going against people right out of college, like athletes. And I couldn't, some reason I'm so weird. It made me just want to do it. So got the second ACL repaired. And then by then I'm 40. And I'm like, you know what? I try so hard at everything I do. And I was like, I'm going to go in, relax. I'm going to work on all my skills. I'm not going to overdo it. I made my fitness routine really fun. Matter of fact, my fitness routine is great to watch because the owner of Try Fitness, he's a character. He knows it. And I was Al Rosen as my fitness. So his wife would secretly record his voice. And I used that in my fitness routine. He always said, set, go. And he died. He has these little things all the time, and he's just really interesting. So I used his voice in a lot of songs that remind me of Al, and I won the fitness routine. Everyone went crazy. And then I PR'd on everything. And it was 2012. At age 40, after 2 ACLs, I won the whole World Try Fitness Challenge. So that was a moment I'll never forget. I was going through a lot personally as well. I had a lot of things like wanting to pull me back, and I just knew I could do it. And I would train by myself. I didn't have a coach. I had my backyard. I wasn't in Florida with that big obstacle course. I visualized a lot and did anything I could to feel that, high intensity sensation. And I just was on that year. I was more relaxed and was able to to perform better. So then I was like, man, I did it one more year for kicks. And I started having a really bad Achilles, which I don't think I told you this, but it was so bad that I had, I think from all the jumping, a little TENS unit on it the whole time and all that. Got through it. 6 months later, did American Ninja Warrior. It was killing me. A week after American Ninja Warrior, I tore the Achilles, but went back to American Ninja Warrior. I got through 3 obstacles, and then started getting into obstacle course races. And here I am.
Take me through, like, what I love about that Tri Fitness Challenge is that it requires you not only to look good, but actually to perform, right? Versus like a traditional bodybuilding or physique show is like, well, look good on stage. Like, I don't really care how much you lift or if you can run or not.
Yeah, so, the activity of it. Yeah. It's a lot of work, and it's disturbing to the mind because it actually, you have to work only on the skills and then the muscles that need to be used. So it's full out, all or nothing. Everything you're doing in the event should be under or close to a minute and a half. And so that's your training. And it's amazing how it changes your body. I mean, I watched my friend Heather, her body changed completely. And then it was no more, we got away from endurance. And it was just like, you have to have, and your mind has to be on. So when I would coach it, I would say, don't overthink things. I always would say, think one word: grab, throw, and not think about your steps. Don't think about how fast you're jumping, and so more I got her just to kind of not overthink. She really started performing just so much more smoother and everything. So yeah, the nutrition is important because when you go in and weigh in, you don't want to bench press anything heavy 50 times. So you have to go in the days before. You eat like codfish or a can of tuna, sip on water, you weigh in, and then you start throwing down your electrolytes and you start putting in all those good carbs. And so, you have to be ready for that whole structure of nutrition because it changes like 3 months before you go in to do this competition.
Cool. So the first question is, this Tri Fitness, is it just that one event in Florida, or is there like a series nationwide, or what's
Well, he used to have it in Vegas, and then he just kept it in his hometown in Tampa. And so there's about 120 girls and probably about maybe 30 guys. I don't know why a bunch of guys don't do it, but they do everything. They only do the fitness skills and the 2 obstacle courses. So there are guys that do that as well at every age. I mean, there was guys that were 60 doing it. There was a girl who was 72. There was a blind woman there. And it's like, when you go into this arena, age does not matter. And everyone's gone through something. And that's why I walk around and ask people, why are you doing this? What made you want to do this? And it's amazing the stories you get. And everyone's cheering for each other because there's so many events. You have a weakness somewhere. So you have to know where you are and what that person's about. I mean, one lady lost her husband a year ago. She didn't start working out till she was 50. She was 57 doing this, and she drove 12 hours to come do it. So it is just in Tampa. It's so intense, not only with your body, but emotionally. When you leave, you have this vibe that I'm a better trainer. I'm like, no, I know you can do this. This is why I know you can do this, or anything in your life. It completely changes you as a person. So yeah, he just only has it in Florida, and it's probably because it's just so intense when you go there.
So with you having to do so many different disciplines and then also maintain a physique for this competition, like, take me through like a week in your training, or a week in Heather's training. What does that look like?
Yeah, totally. We would do fitness skills, and it's an obstacle course they call True Grit, because I like how it balances each other out. So we definitely did a dynamic warm up, moving our body really well. Going through, I make her do each fitness skill, like the shuttle run, you do 10 bean bags, I make her do 3. And we'd work on her stepping. I only wanted her to do 3 steps. So we'd work on that. Box jumps, only like 10 box jumps. And then the bench, just the bar or maybe a little bit of weight pressing up. So then we would go through the fitness skills. If I didn't like her time, I'd do it again. And then I'll do it again sometimes. And at the very end, instead of doing 50 box jumps, not the very, like through 3 weeks before, we would do 60 box jumps. Or same thing with shuttle run. We do 12 bags instead of 10, then we taper it back. And then with the true grit, we just try to make it exactly like it's done. And also, if she doesn't get her bench press run, I'm over her helping her. Say she got 35 reps, I make her go on the ground immediately and do the rest in push-ups. So then her weakness was the routine. She's never done any kind of gymnastics, any activity until she was an adult. So I had to teach her not only a routine and what an 8 count is, but how to jump or one arm push-up or do a yoga press. So we had to learn all those skills and put it in a routine. So she did the routine every time she was with me, and sometimes maybe 10 times. And that's just what helped me. Do it again, do it again, do it again. You know, or even when she's really tired, we'll do half the routine. And then, so we would stay in what we were doing. The other things that we would add with it to help her, I would do like stiff-legged deadlifts to help with balance and the back of her legs, so she's not overtraining her quadriceps. We always rolled her calf muscles because there is so much speed work and jumping. So we did a lot of foam rolling, and she did, of course, pull-ups and stuff to help her get that grip strength and be able to hold herself up on a cargo net. But we would also do a lot of weighted overhead mountain climbers where you lift your knees up as well to really get that. Your knees are up with weight over your head to really be quick with that. So we stuck around with all the stuff that's in Tri-Fitness. We stayed in that arena of stuff, but I would probably add 3 or 4 different movements to counterbalance her body.
Gotcha. And how many days of the week are you running through those versus doing other kind of activities?
At first, and at first it was almost 7 days. It was almost every day. Of course, one day was a light day. Maybe it was just routine. I know it sounds not light, but we'd go, okay, let's run the routine 3 to 5 times, and then we'd be done. But at the end, I'm like, you're going to kill me, Heather, and I know that you're going to not appreciate this. I said, but whatever you're doing today, you have to get up in the morning and do 20 to 30 minutes of medium cardio, because we wanted to get her down to a certain weight for bench. And that's when she goes, oh my God, that is when my body started responding. She still needed that cardio. And so we added that probably, I think, 3 weeks until the competition. But it was amazing through it because her diet was so on. Like, she's such a good listener. And we had her on codfish, vegetables, like rice type of crackers, avocado, some good oils, no sugar, of course. I mean, she had so much energy, and no drinking at all. And, she stuck with it, and her body was perfectly on time. She peaked exactly on time. She had one injury, I'd say about maybe a month and a half out. And it was when she was doing a jump with her legs apart, and then I'd make her land in a push-up position. She felt a tweak in her hip, but she went into cryotherapy and did some other therapy stuff to help her. And then I said, you got to start teaching your body like 3 weeks out to do the skill again. And so she did, and she made it through and didn't get injured after the whole competition, and she did it right. So that's how she did so well her first year.
Yeah, well, you said a lot of great things there, a lot of sports specificity, practicing the things she's going to actually have to do for the competition. And then also just her, repetitions, doing stuff over and over again and really kind of driving that home and, creating that neurological pathway for success. And I know we touched on a little bit of the diet, but how did you determine, how much of what she eats she gets, right? Because the foods you listed are generally all, low glycemic and kind of low saturated fat proteins. But how did you determine like how much carbs she gets versus?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I didn't measure her out, because she can get kind of obsessed with that. So I just wanted her to still enjoy food and kind of watch her body respond. And I knew that her body does puff up with a lot more carbs and then sugars, of course. So I just made sure that her carbs, were more complex. She had maybe, oatmeal was probably one of her big carbs, and maybe some brown rice. But I did not measure everything. I just made sure, I said, have a cup a half a cup of oatmeal, and you can have a protein with it. And so then, then she had the basic stuff, right? She'd have vegetables and a piece of protein. And what happened was she was drinking these coffees with all this like fake sugary stuff. And this was kind of at the beginning. I'm like, I made her take all of that out, so she didn't have any more of the like fake sugar kind of stuff. I'd rather have blueberries or like real fruit, so her body could use it. And so then she even said, okay, I'm seeing a difference with that. And like I said, the end was just awfully strict of just, it's almost bodybuilderish, where it's the codfish and then the vegetables and certain like brown rice crackers type of thing. And she said she felt better doing that more than ever. And yeah, so I didn't measure, but we definitely made sure she got rid of sugar and simple or fake sugars and things like that out of her diet.
And how
you need carbohydrates because you are running around a lot, and then to push weight. So she, I made sure she didn't eliminate them completely.
Yeah, it's an interesting balance. The kind of competition is very interesting. Now, how far out did you start? Yeah, how far out did you start her prep, and then how much I would say weight did she lose leading up to it?
Great. This was fun. So I started truly prepping her, I would say in March, April, May. So she's always a healthy person anyway. But like I said, I took away the fake sugar, a little sneaky snacks of sugary stuff. That was her weakness. So we had to take that away. And then taper down was 2 weeks before. And the other secret out there, which is awesome, is, and I told her, I go, you will lose in 1 week 6 pounds. And she did. And it's dandelion tea. So it's, it's a natural diuretic. It helps detox your liver. And so it's very good for you, but you can't do it for a really long time because you're messing with the salt, in your body, and you have to so that would be 7 days out, like 1 tea bag. Then you go to 1 in the morning, 1 at night, and then 2 in the morning, 2 at night. And then when you're on the plane, you definitely take it. And then the day before. And so after she weighs in, she's off the tea, and then we electrolytes, get those back into her properly. Because you're in the heat too. You're in the Florida heat. So you have to think about heat too, so we got to get extremely hydrated. Let's put a little more sugar, like natural sugar. She was like, yes. Then your veins kind of come out and your muscles look even better when you're on stage, when you do that like last minute, like a bite of chocolate or, just something more simple, jelly on toast.
A lot of fine tuning and a lot of, careful work that goes into that. And that's why having a coach for something like that is a coach that knows what they're doing is absolutely phenomenal. And
yeah, and it's great because she hurt the hip once from just doing a new dynamic movement, but I always want to make sure she's not dehydrated too. And we both know that is one of the biggest killers is dehydration. So I just made sure her muscles had glycogen and she just felt hydrated, and lemon in her water, and high pH balanced water was so important.
Let's switch over topics. I know you've been on a whole bunch of TV shows. Take me through how that started, how it kind of snowballed and led to the next thing.
Sure. Well, I'm pretty out there and crazy, so I gravitate to craziness. Just let's throw that out there. And after doing Tri Fitness, I loved obstacle courses. Like I wanted more, and I did Tri Fitness for 12 years, so it's the same thing. So, but it took me a long time to get where I got, of course. So I saw an ad for American Ninja Warrior, and so I called. They said, oh, you missed the deadline. I begged myself, oh, please, I can do this. I can please, on and on. And so they said, okay, you can get a video in by Tuesday. That was 2 days. And I haven't lived in Fayetteville that long. So I had to find a video guy. I've only seen bits and pieces of American Ninja Warrior. I just started throwing stuff together. And that's when they really needed girls too. So they got me in Dallas. And it was so fun then because it was in the daytime. It wasn't so stressful, so went through that. And then my casting director and we just got along really well. And he liked my personality. And he's like, okay, after my second year American Ninja Warrior, he's like, okay, there's a new show out. It hasn't been aired or made sure of yet. It's called Guinness Book of World Records Gone Wild. And he goes, we saw your YouTube video of your box jumps where you broke the record, in 34 seconds. and we're about to ask you to try this crazy record. Because everyone, and there was one guy, there was a couple of other people from American Ninja Warrior on there. One guy had to get on a slack line, and he was a fencer and sliced bananas on a slack line. So you can just imagine all the different crazy records that were there. But mine was, since I jumped so fast, a guy in Sweden broke the record of jumping in and out of underpants. So it's funny now, I'm watching these videos, people jumping into shorts, and I'm like, who's going to try me jumping in and out? You have to do it in a minute, as fast as you can. You hold them up, you have to tuck jump in them, pull them up, and then step out as fast as you can. So I videoed it, I broke the record, and they loved it. And so they got me to LA, got on the show, and I did not break it by one jump. And so they kept on wanting to use this panty jumping thing. So the casting director called me a couple of years later, and I didn't have to try out for America's Got Talent. He sent my video of it, and they wanted me in 2 weeks. So I had to get those panties out and try to jump again. And I was nervous because it's on national TV. I remember I didn't get it by one jump. So I teach all these little kids obstacle courses. So I had them tie me. They get so into it. It was hysterical. And I broke it like big time. We're like, yeah. And I get sore doing it. I'm squeezing your hands and jumping up. So I got on the show, and I just knew Simon was going to, blast me. And so it was 10 o'clock at night. I've been waiting since 6 a.m. And they tell me what to say and what to do. I had to go give the timer to Simon. I had to tell Howie to come on stage and count my reps. That was so nerve-wracking. He's standing right beside me. Heidi was not real sure about this. And so my song, they asked me to bring a song. It was Super Freak. And so they put the music on, and everyone's screaming in there, and I'm jumping. And I get done, and Simon has this big look on his face, and he almost didn't want I go, what is it? And he goes, you beat it by 7 jumps. I bust out in the splits, and I'm all, yeah! Confetti's going down. Howie is dying. And so they start wondering, like, what are you going to do next? And Simon's like, it doesn't matter. No one's ever broken this record ever on this show. She needs to go the next round. And I told Heidi, I said, look, I'll do back handsprings, and I can jump in them. I cheered in college. You can throw me in the air. I'll land in them. She's like, okay. And then Howie is fighting with me as he's back in his seat, and he has my panties, and he would not give them back. Now, those are the ones I got to use. He goes, you don't need these. I'm like, I'm telling you. So everyone's dying laughing, we're going on. So I go off stage. Simon comes out of his seat. He's in a white shirt with his fluffy hair hanging out. And he's like, kisses me on each cheek. And he's like, I believe in you. I'm like, he believes in this? Like, this is so crazy. And so anyway, they call me the next week, and they're like, we need you to break a new record. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way. And so then, I went to Dallas and learned a whole cheerleading routine, and it's insane. They loved it, and then last minute cut it out because they had too many, acts of three people acts. So that was my little tiny thing of fame. And then actually, I got asked to do a Skype game show where the guy, it's a comedian in LA, and it's nationally known, and I can see everyone in my workout room who I was going against. It's kind of like Family Feud. It's called Let's Ask America. So I'm in my own workout room, and it was really hard to get on. I had to change my whole workout room to look a certain way. They told me to do a one-on-one leg push-up before I start, and all this kind of thing. So I am not good at these kind of shows. I'm a nervous wreck. And so the last question, I didn't know how much money I had, and they go, you are now with one person. You can win the whole thing. You can either win $25,000, the whole thing, but if you get the question wrong, you get 0. Or you can, bid $2,000 or $3,000 more than what you have. Of course, I chicken out, and I said, okay, I'll say 3,000. And the question was asking about truth. No, like if your kids were in trouble, it gave me different options of what I would do. And honestly, I didn't know what truth serum was, but I'm like, well, it tells the truth. And then this lady I'm going against has 8 kids. So I'm like, she's going to get this right. So she says whatever. She said, I said truth. I get it right. I can hear the producers in my ear screaming. I won $7,500. I couldn't believe I won my episode. So it's so funny. And oh my gosh, it was such a good time. And so was on that show. And after all of doing that, I knew that, now I'm 47 now. And a couple of years ago, I was like, okay, I want to get into more racing, but enjoy it more, not be so timed. And then I got into obstacle course races, and here I am.
There'll be obviously your picture will be included with the podcast, like on the cover image there. But
Okay.
you do not look like you're 47. You look like you're about 15 years younger.
Love it.
So yeah.
Well, my friends are 15 years younger. If that is gosh.
So for those of the people that are listening, you'll see the image, but yeah, very physically fit.
Yeah, I think
clearly.
what happens is if you stop, you drop. And even if you have to go a little slower or be more apprehensive of something, or do something a little bit different because of age, I mean, you still can go. Like, I still dream and try new things. I love to rock climb. I live out in Arkansas, so we go up to Horseshoe Canyon Ranch, like 70 feet up, and rock climb, and no one my age does it, of course. But yeah, so that's just my deal, man. If you still have it in your head and your mind and you just figure it out.
Yeah, awesome. Now, you also have a business called Fearless Training. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, it started off with just like group training or individual training, but I just slowly started bringing in my love of obstacle training to my business. So now I have adults that never thought they would be trying obstacles. So it's not like a ninja gym, but I do have obstacles built outside. I have some like parkour kind of obstacles inside, but then it went into, I have a passion for kids to move, not only move, to be do things risk taking, but safely. So I started my own business of teaching after school classes of obstacle courses. So I have a couple of other trainers that train with me, and we have about 4 different elementaries, and they buy the little quadruple steps, and I have a guy that makes them. And then I use whatever it is in the PE room to make these classes. And like I'm horse day. I just taught a class today, and it just does something to me, because I look at these kids, a lot of them that come in don't even like PE anymore. I've had autistic kids. I actually had a kid today. I was crying because he has ADHD really bad. I mean, it's like the true thing, and a little bit of like some autoimmune disorder. And so I had him at school, and I had him today. He's a completely different child. Actually ran and grabbed his mom's arm. I said, "What is going on with him?" And she said, he went to an obstacle course camp last week. She goes, obstacle courses are what is helping my kid. I can't even tell you. I will video it tomorrow. I'd even send it just to you. But now seeing these kids like jump over things, know how to roll out of stuff, or hang and swing, and not scared of the monkey bars. And in one school, they're not allowed on the monkey bars. I'm like, then why do you have them?
That's crazy.
And so, yeah, it is crazy. And so, that's our next generation. They're going to sit in front of a TV screen, scared to get out of their house. And so the other big thing with this, kids are so, like, the bully thing is so bad. So my number one thing before learning is encouraging. So they don't even realize at the end of class they're clapping for each other and they're high-fiving, and it's just making kids thrive again. Like, oh, I can do this, instead of being bullied on the phone. So it's a bigger deal than just obstacle courses, and that's what I'm hoping for, is just to revamp our next generation.
Well, it sounds like you're doing great work. I know I just went to Conquer Youth in Kansas City, Conquer the Gauntlet's kids race, and it was just so much fun seeing all the kids out there just having a good time, enjoying obstacle course racing. And I took my daughter for her first like legit obstacle course. And it was like,
saw that, and I'm going to use her picture on our. I'm not kidding. Her climbing up that little wall with the rope. Like, I love that picture. And we're having one the end of July, so I'm going to, hope you don't mind, use that picture to promote it, and that's why I'm so excited they're coming now to Northwest Arkansas, because we need this too. And so I'm so glad to know that you had your daughter doing it, and people are not realizing these younger kids can do this.
Yeah, it was awesome. So she's at the very, very bottom of the age. So it's ages 5 to 17. My daughter's actually not 5 yet, but I mean.
Oh my gosh, you looked amazing.
I know David, so I was like, I'll sign whatever waivers, and like he knows me. He knows I'm not gonna do anything. But it's a mile, and like a mile is like a really long distance.
I know.
For a 4.5-year-old, and the best one, right? So for like the monkey bars and stuff, I essentially held off a good chunk of her weight, and then she did them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it.
But my favorite obstacle was the log carry, and the log carry was kind of long for like a little kids thing. And so I hand my daughter the log, and she walks. I'm like, you need to walk around and then drop it off. And she literally walks to the other side of the log pile and throws it down. And I was like, no, honey, you got to go. Like, we're gonna go up by that tree. And I'll send you those pictures too. They are
I want to see them.
Hysterical. Like, the log carry was breaking her, and I had to like motivate her through and then like hold part of the log. But she finished it. And then
I feel like when she drops that log, they'll go, it's like a new addiction. Like, oh my gosh, I can do that, and that's what's so great about that competition.
Yeah, she was feeling sorry for it. That was the second or third to last obstacle. And like, you could see the finish line essentially from there. And as soon as we finished that, one of the other like parents runs by and he's like, come on, Joey, or whatever, the finish line's right there. And my daughter takes it off into a full sprint. She was like pouting a minute ago, and then she's like,
yeah. They just forget about it. They left because they thrive to compete, and I think it's just naturally good for them, and I love it. Like, I'm also teaching at a health club 3 to 5 year olds right now. And that's been good for me because it's 15 of them by myself. And so, those new motor skills are still learning. Those 3-year-olds are like little babies, but they're getting the system. If you give them a system, they will do it. That's why I have to start with obstacle courses like immediately in class.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so good. And then I forgot to say this too. The year after I won Try Fitness, my daughter, she was 12, and so I got her to compete with me. And they have a kids, competition there as well. But she's kind of tall, and they let her do the adult everything. So she did the box jump. She did a short bar for bench press. She did that 15-foot cargo net. She did the 10-foot wall. And she went over those adult hurdles and finished amazing. Now she did the true grit. That's about 2 minutes. And she threw up at the finish line. But she goes, she wiped her throw up. She goes, but that was actually fun. I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, she runs track. She runs the 400. So, she gets into that kind of thing. But it was just so fun doing that with her, and she wants to go back and do it again.
Yeah, now we touched on it a little bit, but you're a busy person. I mean, you have your own competition life. You have, you're coaching, you've got your own business, and then you're also a single mom with 2 kids. So how are you balancing all of that and making that work?
Well, I make sure my kids are athletic because, that's what my job is. And my daughter will go help me with a lot of classes and do things like that. Or then my time off, I'm all in their world. Like my son, he had a really bad injury in football in last August where he fractured his tibia, but he had really bad compartmental syndrome, which it was so bad his muscle was dying immediately. So they rolled him off the bed, rolled him in a wheelchair, and the doctor literally was running in his cowboy boots. He had them on still across the street to the hospital. And I was freaking out. And they're like, in 1 more hour, his tendon, ligaments, everything would have shut down. And so I was real busy with that. His dad wasn't even in town. I had to take care of that, change my clients, get someone to get my daughter, bring her back. I lived in the hospital for 2 days and had help there. And I would run and go train people in between. And then he had 2 other surgeries because of this, major thing. But I've been through so many surgeries. I'm like, you're going to be fine. He's able to see in me like, you're going to make this, and so I was able to be there for him. My daughter was able to see that in me, that I'm not this overscared mom. And then in November, he still couldn't hop and make him hop in therapy, like one-legged. He started getting that back probably 1st of December. And in February, he won the state championship in wrestling.
Wow.
So it's been interesting. And but I love being in their world. Like, I love wrestling. I think it's a great sport for kids. Actually, it is safe. It's very technical. And I had to be there for him, in his, and he wasn't even fearful. I mean, it was very interesting. And so being in their life, he's 16, so he can drive and help. Jada doesn't even want to drive. She's 15. And so, but I love being around them. I mean, I'm still a kid. So I'm very thankful for that mentality that I have. Like, I enjoy hanging with my kids. So I don't really go out much. I like good food, so I'll do a nice dinner, but I make them too. They've only eaten great food all of their life, to be honest with you. Now they have their junk food, but when I'm home, they know I just cook healthy. But my daughter, I fed her avocado as her first meal. really but she's now 15 and she's never had an antibiotic ever. Yeah. So she's got a really strong, she's beat strep throat on her own. And, she's just, her body and immune system is extremely strong. But like when they eat pizza, sometimes I'll throw out some red bell pepper and my kids eat it. Like they don't even think twice about it. They love avocado on their pizza. So, I do a lot of time nutrition with them. I let them eat junk. I love cookies. I love the Mexican food and margaritas, and we enjoy life, but I let them know, how important their body is. And, my son's back in football. So he's now finally listening to me about food, and like protein's not always energy. Vegetables are so important. So, that's kind of how I am with my kids,
Yeah,
crazy and goofy.
I mean, they'll adjust to whatever you present to them as normal. Like,
oh yeah. Yes.
We've had people comment to my wife and I about like, oh, your daughter eats, like my daughter will be eating dried peas as like her snack instead of
love it.
something else. And, they'll be like, how do you get your daughter to eat that? It's like, well, we just don't buy a lot of junk food. So she's never had it. So she doesn't know any better.
Yeah. They don't know any better. Exactly. You have no idea the benefits of that as they get older.
And then even the same thing with, with my parents, we ate pretty healthy growing up. And, my wife comes over, when we first were dating, it was like, she's like, why do you guys eat so much chicken? I was like, I don't know. That's just what we eat. Like,
yeah.
Vegetables, that's like normal meal, right? Like my mom's a really good cook too, and she makes other stuff, but
I love it.
Yeah, like most of our food at the house was healthy, and yeah.
I mean, like I just made a huge bowl of fruit, cut it up. I don't have any chocolates, and Jada goes and gets a big bowl of fruit, like blueberries, peaches, and I put little chopped up basil and lime juice, and then she loves it. And so, we'll eat that. But the problem I have now from letting them eat so healthy, they love sushi. And you know how expensive sushi is. I'm like, listen, we'll eat that in 2 weeks. Let me save up for this sushi date, because they love raw fish. So, yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, so that's my story. I mean, it's not all been, exciting. I have had my injuries, and my divorce was really hard, and I had some doubtful stages in my life of what am I going to do? And, it was very scary, it's hard to be encouraging and being a trainer when you're going through so much personally. But thank God for my business, because you can almost fake that kind of mentality. And then I just get used to being like mindful, like, this challenge is going to make things better for me. It's, I've been, and you just start kind of change your mentality. And that's kind of been my life, because I'm even from a divorced family, and I had to grow up without my mom, and I had to learn so much on my own. So that's, like you said, I mean, with anything in your life, I don't regret anything in my past, but it's all I knew was to like self-motivate.
So when your divorce happened, how long ago was that, or how long into your fitness kind of journey?
No, it's I'm so wide open with it. It'll be 4 years this August. And that's one thing with Tri Fitness. It's such a loving community, and like the owner, I'm real close to him and his wife, and all the people there, they love on you, encourage you. And that was my outlet, it was to go and compete and do that. It was my thing. And I mean, my marriage was hard from the start, but I'm such a stubborn, strong person. I tried for 15 years. So I endured a lot. And then, they always say in your 40s, you get to a limit. And I just decided, like, okay, I've tried my part as long as I could, tried really hard. And I always tell people, if you're going to get divorced, you have to try 120%. And I was there, and I'm not upset with my ex. I don't have any of that resentment, behavior. And I think it was too, like, having fitness in my life and something positive. And I didn't divorce emotionally, like go crazy. I made rational decisions, and that's just kind of how I want to always have my life.
Gotcha. Sounds like you handled it pretty well.
So, I mean, the best you can,
Yeah. It's never going to be easy, but yeah.
No. So. Yeah. And then good always comes out of the bad. I mean, it really does, if you want it like that. Some people like to dwell in their formy states, and it's okay for a little bit. Then you got to stop, and move forward. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you fall into like a victim mentality where you're always
and it ruins everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can affect your physically and your friendships, the way you live your life, and it just bleeds into all that.
Yeah. I've had some friends go through some pretty troubling times, and I always say, like, when you it's hard to see there's going to be good coming out of this, but like if you pull back the lens far enough, you'll see it. And it may take a year,
You're so right.
It may take 10 years, right? But like I guarantee you'll be able to look back at some point and be like, well, this has happened to me. It was terrible, but now, this is a result of it that wouldn't have happened if I had.
Exactly. And you know what? 10 years seems a lot, but if you look back at your 10 years, how much you grew and your character got stronger and you endure more. It's not, you lose that poor me mentality. So the 10 years are worth it sometimes.
Cool. So what else do you have planned for 2019?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Well, I'm having a hard time keeping my belt on at Conquer the Gauntlet. And I've got a lot of those races, but I would love to go to the World Obstacle Course race in October. So I need to buck it up and get stronger on some of the obstacles and stop giving my belt away in the elite division. So I really want to go to that. And that's mainly my races. I mean, I'll try to hit another race and see, but I kind of don't want to lean on that. I want to be able to get through Conquer the Gauntlet, and then go to Worlds in October. That's what I would absolutely love.
Awesome. Any plans to go to, if you can get to North American Championships in Vermont?
That might be a fun one. That's in August, right?
Yes.
If I can make it, I'd go. I've got people that would help sponsor me and everything. So I would really like to go do that a lot. Yeah.
I highly recommend that. I mean, that and OCR World Championships, right? The atmosphere is just so great.
That's what I want. I want the atmosphere, and I love all kinds of people. Come up to you and drove you crazy, but I love meeting and asking why, and like, God, just so unique, and so I really, I would just love that, meeting everyone all over the world. So that would be so much fun. Yeah, I need to come to Kansas City and come train with you sometime.
Anytime, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Y'all need to come down, even bring your little baby when she gets a little older, and come rock climb.
Yeah. That sounds
Horseshoe Canyon Ranch.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to make Little Rock this year. I think I'm going to be out on, I'll be working that weekend.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I know I'm on that street team, so I kind of have to go.
Yeah.
So.
I think I'm going to be working like 5.5 hours away, so I could make the drive. But there's also a race that's like 40 minutes away, and that's a lot.
What is it?
The 5.5 hours is CTG. The 40 minutes one is Tough Mudder Nashville, which I
wanted to go to Tough Mudder.
I'd much rather do Little Rock, but with work, like I said, you have to work Friday and I have to work Sunday, so I don't know. We'll see how I feel.
Yeah, let me know, because I've already told them that I'd help out and do all that.
Awesome. Cool. Well, before we let you go, any final shout outs you want to give to friends, family, sponsors, etc.?
Well, I don't have any sponsors, but if anything, I would say Flipside Gym, because Emily and Caleb that own that have opened that up to me to train. They climb with me. We become such good friends, and they push me and compete with me. And so more than anything, I appreciate them more than just being a gym. So definitely them. They have helped me keep this journey alive.
Awesome. And we'll try to get some of those videos of you jumping in and out of panties.
Google panty jumping and you'll find it.
Yeah, we'll share it when this podcast posts. We'll share that. It's kind of the same day of the day.
Hey, you need to challenge everyone to go try it, and then they'll, maybe respect it a little more. Tell them to pull out their underpants and try to jump in it in a minute.
Yeah, we might have to do that.
Yeah,
we can do something like that. Maybe give away a book or something for a winner.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
So, speaking of that,
nice, Steve. Thank you so much for asking me to do this. I loved it.
Yeah, so speaking of that, just for our listeners, you can head over to teamstrengthspeed.com. Again, we just got our Blegmit 1mm neoprene mittens in, so great for a cold weather OCR. I think we actually still have one 3mm pair left, the Blegmit Extremes, and we should be getting a resupply of those in July, actually. And other than that, the new books we have on the Strength and Speed website. We have Mud Run Guide's Ultimate OCR Bucket List. So for those of you looking for different type of fitness challenge and different OCRs and kind of what they consist of and what makes them unique by the people who've actually done them, not advertising from their race director. So you can head over and pick that up. And then my autobiography is also available, Ultra-OCR Man, from Special Forces Soldier to Record-Setting Obstacle Course Racer. So that's available on hard copy. The hard copy, all the profits go to the charity Folds of Honor. And it's also available on digital, so Amazon Kindle only. You can find it on Amazon and download that to your tablet or your phone or your e-reader, whatever you want. But yeah, some pretty interesting stories there. We'll talk about that more on another podcast, but yeah, pick that up. And Brandy, thanks again for coming on.
Oh, you're so welcome. It was so much fun.
And I will see you hopefully later this year.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Catch you later.
All right. Bye-bye.